my god, did you hear that theme music that we just had play before this?
Oh my god, it was so good.
Especially the way the chord struck. I just wow. Full discretion, I have not come up with theme music at this point, so we definitely,
Well,
just heard it now for sure in our imaginations.
oh, the
Um,
theme music.
yep.
Oh, the
Our
theme music that Josh wrote.
We can just say that. We can just use his. Yeah, I'm good with that. Is he good
Yeah.
with that? Do I have to pay him like
No,
royalties
he
for
would.
the?
No, 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 no.
I actually still have. Anyways, not this is not at all the conversation we need to be having right now. We're already getting off to a bad start. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Angry Belly Anime Rewatch Podcast. I want to say rewatch, but I feel like we'll dive into other things at some point soon. But Anime Watch Podcast, the Angry Belly Anime Watch Podcasts. My name's Louie. Y'all know me as a Lou D-O-double-G. I stream Splatoon for you guys and other Nintendo related things as well as Twitchy stuff. But anyways, it's not all about me. Let's talk to my co-host here. What's your name?
Hi, I am Katie, otherwise known as Real Slim Katie, if you've ever seen me in the Discord.
Angry Belly Discord, dude.
The
Um,
TAB.
yeah, the tabby
I guess
fabby.
saying the TAB is just the Angry Belly, isn't it?
The yeah. No,
I feel like
that's
that's never mind. That's redundant.
yep. No, I agreed with you at first though, so I think that's okay. Um, so obviously this is the first episode, and I think really quick, just so the audience knows, Katie and I have already talked, because we're communicative like that.
Oh my
But
god, are we friends?
no, no,
Oh, okay, cool. We'll get there.
we'll get there. Maybe through the end of this, this Cowboy Bebop watch, we'll be friends. No, so we're gonna talk about a little bit how this is gonna go for those of you who are interested in continuing this and want to know what the format is going to be. So our idea is to go through these episodes and have batches of them. So this one's gonna follow episodes 1, Asteroid Blues, through oh my god, what is the I have it. Hold on, you can hear me flipping through my pages here.
Waltz to
Waltz
Venus,
for
right?
Venus, and that's because I literally said earlier 1 through 8.
Yeah.
And we're gonna talk about key points through the episodes and kind of discuss how we feel about things. I think this is gonna be particularly interesting because I'm a huge anime watcher. I watch a pretty good amount of anime, on top of reading mangas like every day. I'm currently reading like a boatload of them. So if you want to talk about that, go in the Discord and talk to us about it. Talk to me about it specifically. But Katie here, and correct me if I'm wrong, Katie, you don't watch a whole lot of anime.
I'm fairly novice. I've seen like a lot of anime movies,
Right.
but not as many TV shows, and I'm very excited to be getting into it. I
Yeah,
think the
so
last like anime TV show I watched all the way through was Fruits Basket. So this is a nice change of
so
pace.
that's funny because I know it's sad, but I haven't seen that one.
Oh, honestly, like it's a delightful, silly little romp.
Oh, okay, interesting. Maybe that'll be something we dive into at some point, but
She's cute. She's a teen show. She's cute.
well, that's great. I love me some teen shows. Riverdale? I'm just kidding.
I've never seen.
Neither have I. So I don't even know why I said that. um, but no. So like, we are watching Cowboy Bebop. If the title hadn't informed you of that, we're gonna spread this along. What did I say? 4 episodes. So this is gonna cover 1 through 8, 9 through whatever. I think it's 18 that we're gonna go to.
Mhm.
Next bunch,
And
and
then
then
there's
we're gonna go, or maybe it's 3. No, it's three episodes.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
is what we have on the docket. Yeah. So thank y'all for joining us, and I guess we'll finally get started here. At the end of this, we're gonna talk about some stuff that we liked and some things and like theorize and just kind of have opinions. Some of y'all already watched the show because it came out in 1998, so we're a little late on this. Let's start here, Katie. So the first episode's name is
Yay!
Asteroid Blues, and let me just say I enjoy the name of the episodes here for the most part. Like I think they're really cool names. I mean, like if you go back and look at like One Piece episodes, they don't put a lot of thought into the names of the episodes. It's like, oh, Rubber Boy eats meat. And what does he do in the episode? He literally eats meat. Like that, at first off, that's really awesome.
That's a really good subtitle for you. Rubber Boy Eats Meat.
Rubber Boy eats meat because, yeah, I do love meat. That is very true. Oh, speaking of meat, today I ate chicken tortellini and thought of you because Katie
Oh
loves
my
tortellini.
god. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I love tortellini.
Anyways, getting off track. Uh, so obviously, Katie and I talked about this a little bit before, but first off, the show starts with the theme song, right? I've heard it in media in random places, right? And obviously, it's super iconic in the world of anime and even pop culture at this point, right? But Katie said something interesting that I thought was really funny. So, Katie, how did you hear the theme song before this?
So, this theme song for the past 2 years has been my partner's morning alarm. And he sets, like, I don't know, 10 alarms every morning. So I've heard this song many times, especially because he sleeps through every single alarm. Drives me nuts because once I hear the first one, I mean, I'm obviously awake at that point. So I'm just listening to the song every morning.
So yeah, if y'all ever have to live together or do end up living together, that'll be potentially something you might be like, hey man, we gotta talk about this, change it up, bro.
Yeah.
uh
No, I mean, I like it as an alarm. It's just like we need to limit it to like maybe 2 alarms,
we
three
should.
max, which he has gotten so much better about. I only say that because I know he's going to listen to this.
Oh, is he? I'm
Oh,
actually
yeah.
really excited to hear what he has to say.
Oh, yeah.
Andrew, if you're listening to this, don't break your heart, I'll break your legs. Okay, moving on. I'm just kidding, am I? Um, so the show opens up with some dude. Who could this dude be? Smoking, and he looks sad. It's very sad, right?
So, can I say Spike has the torso of a Dorito?
Yeah, he
He
absolutely does.
looks.
You know, I feel like this comes into like you not watching a whole lot of anime. I feel like I'm desensitized because One Piece has just
Uh-huh.
horrific body proportions. Like their One Piece's body proportions are insane. Like you get a one look at like half the villains and you're like, why are their legs toothpicks and their upper bodies pieces of ham? Like they're just so wide and meaty. Anyways, so after that we see a rose fall. Again, sad. And then we see people dying. We see a lot of gunfire and gunshots. Um, and it's also sad, question mark. Like, it seems very somber. Is that the right word? It seems very like, wow, okay, so there's things happening here. And this is presumably a flashback slash potential look into the future, maybe?
Well, it looks misty. You know what I mean? Which
Yeah.
is always like, so this has already happened or is going to happen.
Right. This is we're shrouded in mystery, you could say. Yeah. So the next thing is music, and and so like it opens up to like the show, right? And Western excellent is what I have written down for that. It's very stringy, very Western, as I just said, and I sound and audio and music is very important to me as a sound designer. And of course, obviously, it just lends to the show and just sounds amazing. Like I feel like from the get go, I don't know how you feel, Katie, but I feel like from the get go, you already see why people like the show so much. It seems like they're taking research and they're putting it to good use as far as like picking the right music, picking the right tones and even colors because that red rose was so saturated in the beginning, right?
Especially with the
Yeah.
like dusty blue in like the
Oh my
streets and the
god, yeah.
water.
Yeah.
Like the production, like I guess not the production design. I guess that's more of a live thing, but like the color palette of the show and the
Yeah.
overarching design just has a very specific aesthetic. So like I mean from that first scene, but also the shift into the next scene of him like walking into the bar or whatever, and
Yep.
it feels super dusty and super old western. And I'm like it like takes you in exactly where you want to go. Like I have
Exactly.
no questions about the world or the universe it's in.
And that's very interesting. We'll talk a little bit more about that down the line. But yes, 110% agree with that. We move on. We're talking to a guy who's talking to a guy who's we don't know his name yet. But we do find out his name here pretty soon. He's beef motivated. And by he I mean a Spike. Spike is very beef motivated. Because they immediately talk about eating like food and how Spike is just eating too much food because they don't have money or whatever.
Ugh, it reminded me of you.
It did. I feel like I don't think about this too much until I'm like watching another anime with a person, and
Uh-huh.
then especially like Gloria. who's like, "Oh, this character likes meat. Is that you?" And I'm like, "Why is this the trope for like all main characters in anime? Like they all just really like meat."
It's so silly, but also, so I accidentally watched the first 4 episodes in the dub rather than the sub.
Oh, it was an
So,
accident. I mean, I just
well,
didn't. I
it
didn't.
wasn't
Yeah.
an accident, but it was intentional until I was like, well, I'm like, anyways, I have a lot of thoughts based on that. But in the first episode, so I went back and then I watched clips of the sub in the first few episodes, and then I
Mm-hmm.
also went back later and watched like some of the new characters were introduced to. I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
hear their dub voices as well.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, let me just tell you, in the English dub, Spike gets so, am I allowed to curse on here?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He gets so fucking juiced over this beef. He's literally screaming out here. And
He's
he's like,
just about
it's
the
not
beef.
beef. You're not beef, so you can't call it beef and peppers. And I'm like, oh my god, you are such a hothead. I was like, this is the first thing we've ever seen him say. And he is out here throwing a fit.
He absolutely is throwing a fit. That's funny. So
It
like
was wacky.
I'm watching the sub obviously at this point too. So
Uh-huh.
we didn't get a lot. I don't think he was really angry at that point, but that is a really interesting. I err on the side of the sub for the most part. So
Uh-huh.
those are just fun
It
things that
was
I might not
so
experience, but
bizarre.
that is
I
incredibly
was
bizarre.
like, well, my hot take is that I really enjoy the vocal performances of the sub more
Yes.
than I do of the dub,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
weird because I was reading online because I like was just looking around and a lot of people seem to prefer the dub and they're like it's the greatest dub of all time. It improves upon the show. And I'm like, I
They,
don't really like it. It makes all the characters seem insufferable.
they that is a whoever wrote that needs to go touch grass. Let's be honest.
But it was so many people. That's the thing. It wasn't just like one or two people. It was like thousands of upvotes.
Presumably these are people who speak English, so like
Yeah.
I anyways, we could talk all about that, but moving on.
Ugh.
So we open in on a pregnant lady who asks for a bloody mary at a bar, and she looks pregnant,
Ew,
right?
gross.
Right. And
Yeah.
so I don't drink, so I don't know if that's a good thing or not.
It's
But
tomato juice and vodka.
disgusting.
That sounds literally disgusting.
That sounds like
Get your
hell.
vegetables out of my alcohol.
That sounds
Nasty.
disgusting.
Yeah.
Anyways, and there's this guy here, and so there's this conversation between the guy and the bartender, and it's like he asks for the bloody eye, right? And I have here important question mark. Is this important? Is the bloody eye important? So the thing here to note is the bloody eye is important in this episode specifically, and it gives you powers? Question mark. So no, it absolutely does. It kind of, if you're familiar with Naruto, it kind of gives you like Sharingan kind of vibes to where like your reflexes are faster, you're a little bit, you're incrementally better at fighting and that sort of thing. So a whole fight breaks out.
Just an exciting fight. I feel
Yeah.
like I really enjoyed a lot of the combat. I said, oh, I was trying to figure out what I wrote here. And I said I really enjoyed their use of like slow-mo and
Yeah,
also
yeah.
like the animation, it like looked super grainy and it looks like that TikTok filter. Like where
Yes,
it's like
yes.
shot moving forward. I don't know
Oh
how
my
to
god!
describe
So
it,
they
but
they
yeah.
brought so they made wow. So they made TikTok into an anime, I guess, huh?
Basically they're trying to steal the concept.
They get into a fight, whatever. He gets fast reflexes, and like you said, there's some great things going on in there.
Oh yeah, I wrote down. I said, "Oh, Spike is super quick to pocket. I bet that's gonna come up later."
Super
Which,
quick
not to toot
pick
my
pocket.
own horn,
It
but
does come up later.
definitely does.
I believe it was Spike that said after this they go back and I've already died once. And I was like, interesting, thing of note. Also, what a hard ass line too. And we do
Yeah.
find out that this, in fact, does come back around. But anyways, I keep saying Cyborg in my notes. I think at this point they've renamed them. We'll just say Jet. Jet gets in. He needs to get info on like.
Call him Cyborg.
Yeah. Needs to get info on their new bounty they're gonna get. Did I mention they're bounty hunters? They are. And so after that, we go back and we see that there are some after effects of the bloody eye. There's some after effects. This guy is kind of like reeling. He's kind of sweating it out a little bit, and we see him kind of hunched over in a restroom. And Spike is there, and Spike is like, "Hey, what's going on here? I'm washing my hands. Is that the guy I'm look? You know, you can kind of tell. Like he's like, what's going on here?" He walks out or whatever. Spike has pickpockets, right? Like you're saying, with the bloody eye, the little vial, and then he goes to his ship, and we see the pregnant lady standing there, and they're having this whole exchange about like going to Mars, right? That's where they're going.
Yeah, and she's like, I want to go to Mars one day, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, and it's kind of
like my boyfriend's gonna take me. Okay,
yeah, literally,
well, fine,
literally,
sure.
Yeah, whatever, bro. And so she says adios, cowboy, after what's his name straight up punches Spike into his ship, right? I don't even remember the bad guy's name. I have it written down here, but I can't read my own handwriting. But anyways,
I just call him bad boyfriend guy.
Bad boyfriend guy punches
bad boyfriend bloody guy.
Well, he chokes him out, right? And Spike, passes out or whatever. He leaves, and she has this like moment where she's like, "Adios, cowboy," and I was just like, "This is so dramatic. Like this is this is incredibly dramatic, and that's fine, and I love it for that. But it absolutely is dramatic, and there's a big reveal, like you said. Spike does have the. We didn't know that he pickpocketed before, anyways, but he does have the bloody eye.
Which also, I'm sorry, it does not look like. Like, also, I don't know anything about drugs. I've never done drugs, so I guess I'm not really a good source for this. But I feel like bloody eye does not seem like a fun drug to me. I don't really understand the appeal of taking it.
No, it's kind of like one of those things of like
awful.
It seems like you get a really like aggressive and good thing for all of 5 seconds, because that fight couldn't have lasted long enough for it to be worth it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was like, ugh.
We cut, and they're in Mars now, and they're presumably gonna go and try and sell the bloody eye. Like that part, I feel like I might have missed. Regardless, so they're going into this what seems like a bar or like a restaurant, and we see some dude sitting down in a costume, and his shoulders. I have here Spike in costume ? Broad shoulders. He reminded me of Kylo Ren. You know that one picture of Kylo Ren where his like he has no shirt on and his shoulders are freaking massive.
Oh, do I know that photo of Kylo Ren?
I know you know that photo of Kylo Ren.
So I'm vaguely familiar. Yes.
Yes. So anyways, moving on. So this is where Spike catches them in the act, and they have a really cool fight. There's a cool fight that happens, and I gotta say, even up until this point, this is one of my favorite fights. It just felt like there was a lot of heart and soul. The music was great. Yeah, like, it was just awesome. It was a really good fight. Obviously, Spike had the upper hand, despite the drug usage. And they do get away. They get in their ship, and they're trying to get away. But it just so happens that other people are after them as well. And so... Cyborg Man, Jet in parentheses, so apparently I know his name at this point, according to my notes, comes to help. And then there's this dramatic murder-suicide thing. And so they're obviously, like, out there now in space or whatever. And it seems like they just have too much heat on them. It's almost felt like like something like Bonnie and Clyde. I don't know, like...
they got blowed up.
Yeah. And so they just have too much heat on them. I'm assuming pregnant lady just didn't see a way out at this point. And this is where the show gets kind of brutal. Like, I feel like once an episode, I'm like, damn, they really did that. Holy shit.
Yeah.
But she pulls out a gun and shoots him. And apparently she's not pregnant. She has bloody eye all in her tummy. I'm guessing to smuggle it, some, like... Narcos type level shit. Like
that's me trying to take like slushies into the movie theater.
Oh, except you put them in your bra, which how do you do that? I don't know how you do that.
I'm exactly like her in that.
In that regard, exactly.
In that regard.
Yeah. Double dramatic murder suicide zero gravity Siggy pose. Sorry, not phase, pose. I he he puts a cigarette in his mouth, and it's like zero gravity, and it just looks cool. Like, don't let anybody tell you cigarettes aren't cool, because Spike makes them look so freaking cool, dude.
Wait, is this the shot where he also like lets it go and like flicks it over to Jet? Is this shot too, or is that in a
Yes,
different episode?
I think this is that
Oh
shot.
my
Yes, yes, yes.
god.
Yeah,
It literally looks so badass.
Dude, I'm like, damn, I'm about to start fucking smoking too, dog. Like,
You heard
no,
it here
no, no, no.
first. The Angry Belly.
Is gonna start smoking.
Yeah.
Anyways, oh, that's the name of the bad guy, Asmov. I don't know how to pronounce that.
Love
Anyways,
it.
moving on to episode 2, we get Stray Dog Strut, where we see the iconic corgi.
Great title, by the way.
Yes, absolutely. All again, second title, amazing. Spike and Jet go after Abdul Hakim, who has stolen a data dog from a research facility for an 8 million Wulong reward. It turns out they are not the only ones after him.
Dun dun dun.
Wulong is a very fun name for currency.
That's literally, I swear to God, Louis, word for word, what I have written as my first note here.
Yes, I know they said it before, and I honestly I didn't even read the synopsis I had here for the first episode, but great name for a for currency here. But we open up with Jake. What the hell am I saying? Jake the dog. Jet and Spike.
And Finn the human.
Yes, exactly. They go to Mars. They're on Mars at this point. This guy named Abdul Hakim stole a pet. I am seeing. I don't know. This might be kind of a reach, but if you're familiar with basketball, there's a famous basketball player. His name is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Yes, and of course this character is tall, black with an afro, and I was like, was that intentional? Like, I actually didn't research this, maybe I should have, but that was the first thing that came to mind. I was like, wow, is this intentional? Like, did they do this on purpose?
It's okay, the listeners will tell us.
Absolutely, all 5 of you, thank you for listening. Yeah, okay, so I have my next note similar to basketball player.
Well, what I thought is my first thought. So we see Abdul like he's stolen this dog or whatever, right? But my first thought is I was like, oh my god, did he just like? Because he's, which my favorite thing is he's a serial dog napper, which to me, that alone, there's like I could talk about that for hours. But I'm like, oh my god. I thought at first I was like, oh my gosh, what if he's this awesome like anti-hero and he's going around and saving animals from like super cruel animal testing? That was my first reaction to that.
Yeah, that would make the most sense, right? It would be very societal, which I guess at this point, it's kind of the equivalent, I feel like, in this episode, sort of.
Sure.
But, you know, anything with dogs, any animal, it's like, damn, they're more pure than people, so just don't hurt them.
We watch them kill, like, literally so many people, but, like, I'm like, if they kill this dog,
yes,
I'll be
so upset. So anyways, he gets a drink with a roach in it. I don't know why. Makes a guy drink with roach. That's what that's what I have written down. Which is gross and disgusting, but anyways, moving on. The case got stolen. No, yeah. It is disgusting.
It's disgusting.
Yeah. The case we don't know what's in it at this point, but the case gets stolen, but it has something scary apparently. So this is some random dude. Again, this is not Abdul. He goes to sell the case, and he goes to this animal place and he opens up the case like, oh yeah, this is a dog. Give me the money for this. And the lady was like, I'll give you like $400 or something. And he was like, why? This is special, right? And she's like, not really. I mean, kind of, but not really. And he was confused because he was like, well, someone was like really trying to hold on to this because it was of value. And she was like, I don't know. And then Spike shows up and we see, the iconic corgi. Obviously, all the other characters have been seen at this point. We see the corgi, yay, which we know is a staple within Cowboy Bebop. I know a few people who actually have corgis because of Cowboy Bebop, but...
Really?
Yeah, I do.
Well, it's funny because I was just thinking like with this and like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, I was like, corgis are a very popular dog breed for television.
Yeah, it seems that way. Okay, so Abdul does show up, and the corgi attacks him, and now there's a chase. The There's always a
The
chase
stray
and
dog strut, if
yeah,
you will.
stray dog strike. Exactly. We find out that this and I already said this I already said this before in the synopsis, but we find out this dog is worth 8 million oolongs. Um and so we're at this cool bridge and it almost feels like a fight's about to happen, but it doesn't. Uh it doesn't. So there's still a chase going on. At some point I paused it to like write something down. And there's a poster behind one of the characters. I can't remember who it was right now, but there's a poster behind, and it says Bruce Lee poster. And I was like, oh, that's kind of a fun nod because obviously, like, I'm sure for whatever reason you can't put Bruce Lee in something that isn't Bruce Lee related. And given the fact that Spike is a martial artist, I think it's a nice nod that they're nodding to Bruce Lee. I just thought that was fun. And so they're like, oh, the corgi's worthless? What? Worthless what? But not everybody knows that it's worth that much because they don't actually know what it is. During the chase, we see that Abdul does push some kids on the floor. So we'll add assaulting a minor to his charges of a serial dog napping.
Oh my gosh. And don't even get me started on what he does to this dog.
Yeah, exactly. So then, oh my god, I hate my headphones. Anyways, shut up. So the scientists are now here. They have this vehicle where they're trying to track down a dog because obviously they want the data dog back. And they have this big whistle to attract dogs. And so the guy's like, should I do it? They're like, I don't know. There's gonna attract all the dogs. And then they absolutely attract all the dogs, and obviously like the corgi gets there, or they all get there, and it's just like, okay, interesting. And the corgi is as fast as the car, which the corgi's like running at 1,000,000 miles an hour. I don't know how this is possible, but it's happening, and here we are. Spike does say something about hating critters and doesn't like critters, which I feel like potentially that could be like a maybe like a translation error, but I feel like critters are usually like, oh, this is maybe like bugs usually. Despite that, Spike does save the corgi from the aforementioned scientist. Abdul feels bad about all the things he's done and turns himself in, ? I feel like he also kind of has no choice at this point. Data dog with Spike and Jet now. That's my last thing about this. Yeah, so that's kind of the end of that. In comparison, for me at least, going through this, I feel like it wasn't as good as the first episode, but still a solid episode in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I feel like it's because at this point we don't really know what's happening. I mean, even through the first 8 episodes, we're not still quite sure.
No, yeah,
like
for sure.
what exactly is happening. But in episode 2, we literally only know Spike and Jet, and we're like, oh, this is gonna be a cute little, fun little. They're bounty hunters. Wow, we're having a delightful little time.
Exactly.
And that's what this episode feels like. But I'm like, okay, well, what's next after this?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like a filler feeling episode, but also one that's necessary to get the dog.
Yeah, for sure. Especially if you want the dog to be around. I have here an asterisk. This is something I super love. We're moving on to Honky Tonk Woman. Number 3.
Oh, wait. I also had a little note on... I don't know. I just wanted to ask you. So, I don't know if you let the episodes autoplay, but at the end of all the episodes, they play the original little trailer, the teaser, the 30-second teaser for the next episode.
I don't. I just go through it, yeah.
It's set like, I don't know what, I forget what it's called, like Big Shot or whatever with the chain
okay,
cowboy.
so that was the next thing I was about to talk about. The Love Bounty Hunter Hotline.
Uh-huh.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, it's like the two people are like, we're the bounty hunters and we're gonna tell you yeehaw.
Yeah,
That's those guys. So they're the like host for each episode's teaser trailer. And honestly, I thought they're so fun.
Dude, so that was actually one thing I was about to talk about before we went through Honky Tonk Woman. I just love that dynamic because I think it lends itself to have the ability to like, I think that's our like I say hotline. That's our way to the outside world to an extent. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
away from this bubble of Spike and Jet and well later talk about the honky tonk woman herself, but that's our way to kind of be like, oh, okay, so this is where the story's gonna go next, you know?
Sure. Yeah.
And it's also very fun. Like, it's reminiscent of those, like, come get your toy, like, you know, like
It's giving Toy Story 2.
before Toy Story 2. Yeah, for sure.
No, no, no. You know the trailer in Toy Story 2 where they're like, "Come on down to Al's Chicken Toy Barn."
No,
Come
no,
on to Toy
absolutely.
Barn.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It did it before Toy Story did it.
Yeah. Oh, yes,
Which I
yes.
mean, I wonder if Toy Story grabbed that specifically from Cowboy Bebop. I mean,
Oh,
it could really also just be like a thing of like this is how the toys were advertised back in the day, which is true. So they could have just
sure.
been indirectly a result of that. I don't know.
But also, this was like pretty well received, and I'd be shocked if the people at Pixar Animation.
Yeah. What was it? The Cluck
Wait.
Toy
What
Store
year did
barn?
Toy Story 2 come out?
2003 or something. I want to say. Here, I gotta look
Okay,
it up.
okay. So it was right after this came out
Yeah,
then. Well, 5 years.
maybe. Hold on.
Yeah, now it's gonna drive me nuts.
99, actually. 99.
Well,
So never mind.
that would have been right on its toes.
It may have even been yeah, yeah. It was 99. Yeah, when it came out.
Wow.
So maybe,
Okay.
maybe who knows? Honky Tonk Woman number 3 opens up on a bustling city. It reveals a smexy girl going to buy a cigar. Door opens wide open. Gunmen open fire. She says a gangster ass line. Do you know the first rule of combat? Strike first. I thought that was hard as fuck. And anyway, so she, we don't know this at this point, but she does owe money to people, and she's at this like weird looking ship, and this guy who I suppose is like the owner of the casino at this point is like, hey, I need you to do this favor for me because you owe a lot of money, and he kind of like called her a oh, what was the name? I actually don't have it written down. Oh, something Alice, like gambling Alice or something like that.
And she's like, I'm not that person.
Yeah, she never loses or whatever. And then he pulls
Yeah.
the card out of her coochie, the like ace that I'm assuming she like uses to win all the time.
Yeah.
So I thought that was funny, and so he uses blackmail essentially to like get her to do things for him. So next we move and we open on Spike and Jet on going down an elevator. They're at a casino. Apparently Spike is just too good at gambling. And Jet's like, hey, do me a favor, don't win too much or we're gonna get kicked out and they're gonna think you're cheating. And he's like, well then don't bring me here. Like, come on, man. Like, you don't want me to win? Don't hate the player, hate the game, my G. Like,
Also, I love the whole casino. One thing the show does so well is like, well, the whole idea of like a musical pastiche of like borrowing themes from other genres of music and stuff.
yeah.
This has like the perfect kind of like aesthetic pastiche of like taking each episode and making it feel so like unique and special. This casino, I mean, it's gonna remind me of Percy Jackson. It really
Oh
will.
my god.
It does, but maybe that's what all casinos are like. And I don't know because
Mhm,
I've never been
mhm.
to a casino.
I haven't either.
We'll put it on the list.
The ever growing list of things that we need to do with each other, despite the fact that we both work insane amount of hours.
Well, we would
Anyways.
be bad at a casino. We wouldn't spend money, so.
No. Oh god, especially with Gloria. No. No.
Wow, Miss Gloria slander right here.
No, well, you know, she's all right, but she's very frugal. You two are the most frugal people I know.
That's an honor.
No, it's not I mean, and I'm not myself. I'm not like a big spender, but still, you know, like sometimes I buy comic books and that sort of thing.
I've seen you get slushies at the movie theater.
I do always. That's one thing I do allow myself is slushies at the movie.
The cute little
theater.
splurge moment.
Oh, dude, that is a huge splurge moment for me. And sometimes I accidentally use your points to buy a whole one for myself,
Oh, but I love it.
or you get points depending
Oh,
on
yeah,
like what
I do.
happens. Sometimes
Yeah,
I
I
feel
do.
like they're really my points because you scan your thing no matter what I buy. Anyway.
Well, also they go back to you, so
They
it works.
do. It works out. Yeah. So Spike is kind of walking around. He helps some old dude win big. He's just like, yeah, flip that card, bro. You're good. Like, Spike wasn't even there the whole time, but for some reason he's like, oh yeah, that card, you're winning, dog. And he flips, and you know, of course he wins. Spike takes some payment, takes a coin or two. He's like, yep, this is mine. Spike sits at a table, which is blackjack. And Lady thinks it is him who she needs to watch, because we find out later, and we'll go through it, that the guy, the kingpin dude, was like, "Hey, this is the guy you're gonna look for. He's gonna give you a special token." And this is the picture of the guy. And so when Faye is her name, when Faye, I don't think we know her name till later, but I'll just say it now. When Faye looks at the screen, and this is a funny like anime, like I feel like anime does it a lot. And Katie, I don't know if you're familiar with some of this stuff, but just really dumb things like move the story along. Like the dumbest things will
Okay.
move a story forward. And so in this situation, she looks at, and I say dumb as in like they're kind of funny. She looks down at her screen and she sees Spike, a picture of what looks to be Spike, but it's kind of like phasing in and out and like scrunchy and snowy. And she's like, "Yeah, that kind of looks like Spike. That kind of looks like the guy in front of me." Plot twist: it's not actually him. It's just another guy that kind of looks like Spike. So she obviously
He's
didn't know.
cosplaying.
No, absolutely. He's like, "I want to be Spike from Cowboy Bebop."
It's a very meta show.
No, extremely meta. So Faye is told, "Hey, this guy is gonna give you his last coin. He's gonna do all these things, and at the end, he's just gonna give you the coin, and that's the coin you need to bring back to me." And she's like, "All right, cool, done." And so everything goes the way she thinks it's supposed to go, until Spike is like, I lost. I'm taking this last coin as a keepsake. Bye." And she's like, "What the fuck?" She's like, "Wait, come back right now." He chooses to ignore her because he's like, "Dude, it's my coin. Like, I do whatever I want with it." She leaves, and again, another funny anime moment that just like it moves the story forward and is just super dumb, but also kind of funny. I found myself laughing at least when I was watching this. Spike bumps into the doppelganger that was supposed to be him sitting at the blackjack table because he was actually about to go sit down at the blackjack table and play the way Spike was playing. Um, and they bump into each other. They fall down, and of course, you get that like token like thing that happens where they accidentally switch briefcases, and one takes the completely wrong one because they bump into each other. But instead, this is literally with a token, like with a coin, which anime moment right there. How do you feel about stuff like that? Since you're kind of new to this whole thing,
I feel like it's camp, and I'm
you
here
think
for
so?
it.
Yeah.
Well, I guess here's the thing. That's part of the difference is if I was watching this in 1998, I would have been like, "Whoa, something crazy is going on here." But I feel like I've consumed so much media that, like, in the past 22 years of my life, that is, like, relies so heavily on references to other pieces of media. So
Right.
I see, like, so we've seen a lot of these tropes before.
For sure. For sure.
So I just don't know, like, I mean, we know, like, shit like Pulp Fiction or whatever, and
Right. Right.
and
Right.
we've seen stuff like this happen before, but it's also, like, I'm not sure how much of that was supposed to be novelty or how much of it was intended parody. You know what I mean? So I feel like I have a
Yeah.
very different take on it. But I like it. It's fun, and it definitely sets me in the time period that this was made. It does feel like very 90s action movie sometimes,
No, it
which
does
I
absolutely. Yeah.
totally like.
Yeah, and I do think this was a perfect start to our little podcast here because these are kind of things that I feel like are the West doesn't. And I could talk and talk and talk about how the West kind of sucks at things sometimes as far as media is concerned.
Mhm.
But I think these things that anime does so well is like super interesting to be like, "Oh my god, this is a really funny moment." But like also it kind of affected the whole through line of the story. I don't know, and I just find it
Yeah.
interesting. You, someone who is not super, well versed in anime. I'm assuming by the end of this podcast you will be.
I'll be so
But
well versed.
but yeah. Anyway, so we're moving on. Some guards come in for Spike, and there's an all-out brawl. Of course, this being the main character of, and this is not even shonen, but being a main character of an anime means you always get in trouble some way. Spike, Jet, and Smexy Lady escape, because during the whole brawl they kind of just jump on her ship because she's freaking out looking for the real Spike, right? And
Mhm.
they jump on top of her ship and they just fly off with her. But they end up back at their ship at the Bebop, right? And they interrogate her. And also, can I just say really quick, the ship's
Mhm.
name being Bebop, I don't know if maybe it's my sound designer brain, but it's like Bebop, like is the name of like a futuristic
Yeah.
robot or like
Onomatopoeia.
yeah, yeah, and if it is intended that way, I think that's very clever.
The
Just
show does feel very meta at times. I know we said it as a joke earlier,
no,
but
for
I
sure.
do feel like it feels meta, right? Because it's like the future, but it's also like the
Old?
future picture. It's like old, like with flip phones,
Yeah.
but also like you can order digitally, and like there's definitely TV, like
Yeah,
so
no,
it's like
for
this
sure.
weird amalgamation of new and old.
And I quite enjoy it. I have something along those lines that I want to talk about here in the episode coming up soon. Anyways,
Hmm.
so they interrogate her um about what the hell just happened. Beep beep
Hmm.
beep 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 beep. Oh, okay. And so we go back to the big guy, and they're like, "Hey, where is Faye?" And they're like, "Oh, I don't know. Put a bounty on her to get her back." And then they're like, "Hey, her name's Faye Valentine." And then of course, our main characters are bounty hunters, so they see it. Um, and so the casino man works out a deal for the chip for 30 mil. With what's what? Sorry, I'm missing a huge part here. She finds her way out and contacts the big guy, and she's like, "Oh, this is where I am." Like, all right, we'll be there. And so they're on the phone with Jet and Spike, and they're like, "Hey, give us a thing. We'll give you 30 mil." And they're like, "Oh, sweet money." I mean, but of course you have to assume it's a trap. They meet, but of course there's a space fight, and I have this in huge letters. Um, I feel like to an extent these fights are like 110% fan service, right? I do think that like, but they're the best kind because I do think we
Yeah.
need them, in my
It's called
opinion.
fan service for a reason, not fan annoyance. Like it's all the compat is like so exciting.
Yes, absolutely. And I do think they make it exciting. I think they have a good use of music in all these episodes, especially because like
Yes.
they end up being like, all right, there's not a whole lot of music, and at least the exciting music, right? Like there's not a whole lot of
Yeah.
exciting music until the moment of combat, and that's the only exciting song, only exciting
Mhm.
song.
Well, then it's
Which
really great instrumentals
no,
too, which
yeah,
is so fun and exciting, and it's like way better than like electronic bullshit.
for
It
sure.
just feels like thrilling.
The arrangements are always something to like take in and enjoy. Which it's
Hmm.
like with that idea of sound designing silence, right? Because you're not using this can be taken both ways, right? But you're using your ability to sound design things in a specific spot to invoke a specific feeling. And us knowing that, hey, this music always comes on. You're like kind of trained like a dog, right? Like when I
Yeah.
clap my hands, you do this. Like when the music
Hmm.
jumps on, you're like, my heart does this, and now I'm very excited,
Sure.
right? Anyways, moving on for that. There's a space fight.
Space
Spike
fight.
Spike does leave. They're fighting. Spike starts fleeing, and he straight up murders a guy. What?
Hmm. Love.
He straight up like shoots his thing and kicks him off the fucking spaceship, and it's like, okay, cool. At some point, Faye does leave and she deuces the fuck out. And that's really kind of what happens. They do keep um what do you call it? The chip does get whatever, right? Destroyed. I'm pretty sure, right?
Hmm.
Trying to remember.
Yep.
Yeah, it does get destroyed. And that's kind of the end of it. They're like, damn it. So we don't get the bounty for her, and like also we don't have money, and that this seems to be like the same thing happening for like every episode. It's like they go for this
Sure.
bounty and they just never get it. They just never
Yeah.
get it.
They're
Anyways, the
kind of shit at their jobs.
no, they're really bad, and I feel bad because it's like they're always almost there. They're like just steps away from it. Um,
Yeah.
but anyways, Spike murdering a guy in this episode is another one of those examples of being like, damn. So they really get hardcore sometimes. I'm just like, bro, you gotta.
Yeah.
Why are you getting so crazy
Okay,
with
well,
it?
the thing, like, the last thing in this episode is the little tag in the lower right corner at the end of this. The
Mm-hmm.
past few episodes, each one said, like, see you, Space Cowboy, but
Yeah,
this one
yeah.
says easy come, easy go. I can't wait to
Oh,
find out why it's different.
that is a good point. That is a good point. Wow.
Can't wait to find out why this one episode has a different tag on it.
This is why there's two of us here, and it's not just me talking out my ass. Uh, um,
Are you ready for Gateway Shuffle?
I am absolutely ready for Gateway Shuffle because this is another one of those episodes that has such a great name. Like I feel like up until this point, like they've all had really good names. Also, this is a weird episode, but we'll talk about it.
Yes, it is.
It's a
Yes, it
super weird
is.
episode. Anyways, Spike and Jet take on Maria Murdoch, the leader of an extreme animal rights activist group called the Space Warriors. Faye stumbles her way back onto Bebop and may help them out. Maybe. I like to have a quick what's the word, a discussion, but I'm not really
Uh-huh.
not really
A
a
sidebar.
discourse about
Okay.
this because I can't tell if it's shedding a bad light on animal activist groups or like I that's just I can't tell what the discourse is in this episode. You know what I mean by
So,
that?
okay, so it is weird, but well, I don't want to get to the end of the episode yet. But the like it's so funny because like some of the what is it? The boys are like, "But what about the rat?"
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
like ultimately like it's Maria that's just this like evil mastermind
No, that's
who's
true.
essentially using it as a cover up, you know? So I don't
Right.
think it's necessarily fault that like these people happen to do that. I really do think it was all this Maria Murdoch woman's
Yeah, that makes sense.
big
That
thing.
makes
I
sense.
also think a lot of the other people involved in her group, what is it? The space
Space Warriors,
what
Space
do we like?
Warriors.
Space Warriors.
Yeah,
I think a lot of them were fairly incompetent.
for sure.
So I don't really think that they're
They
all
definitely
bad.
have
I
like a
think they're
bit of
stupid.
a Chris Jenner and you know Kardashian kind of thing where like she's the mastermind and her daughters are just kind of
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know
Her
if they're
sons are just
actually
like,
dumb in real life, but you know, it
oh,
seems
I
that
don't
way.
know either. But her sons, Maria Murdoch's sons, they're dumb.
No, they're absolutely
Like
really dumb.
she is the one pillar holding up this group.
I um I agree with you. Is what I'm gonna say to that. Okay, sorry. So we open up and we see Faye is stranded with no gas, but she does have like a lot of like food, like kind of just floating about around her. So I'm like, did she spend money on her food and not gas? Interesting. Anyways, so Faye is stranded
Space
with no gas.
food.
Jet and Spike are at a restaurant on a mission, but whatever could they be doing there? And so, something to point out here is that the guy they're actually looking for is there. So it seems like a kind of easy mission. This is how it always. I feel like this is how it's kind of just is for them. Like just luck of the draw. Like they're like, all right, easy mission. This guy's right there. Easy target. Boom, quick mill or whatever. Right. But no, no. This guy is just talking a lot of crap. He doesn't have a good heart as far as like animals are concerned. He doesn't have a good heart. Period. It seems like a awful dude with just a bunch of girls
Uh-huh.
around him, right? I don't know why girls like him, but here we are. Um, he gets so anyways, lady with rat head. That's what I have here. But I know they're not rat head yet. But they you can kind of see she's getting visibly annoyed. Jed is like, this lady looks familiar. Who is she? And obviously we don't know who she is at this point yet. She gets really annoyed with
she
him.
she
No, go
looks
ahead.
familiar because she looks just like the evil stepmother from Cinderella, but also with a little bit of Yzma from Emperor's New Groove.
She absolutely does.
Yeah.
She absolutely does. She gets really annoyed with this guy being just awful and kills them. She goes in there and kills them. Has her sons. She doesn't do it herself, but her sons. She pointed the gun for them, and they shot. And the dude's dead now. And so everybody just kind of is just like freaking out and stuff. Everyone's going around. Jet realizes that she's worth 25 million wulong. And as they're trying to escape the Space Warriors, Spike puts a gun to her head and is like, "Hey, you're coming with me." And she's like, "All right, I'll see y'all sons in a little while." And they're like, "But mom," and then she like, I think the name of one of the sons is like Harrison, who like fucked up or something. I think that's the name of the kid or the son. You're like, I'm still
Yeah.
gonna kick your ass when I get back. You're still in trouble. And he gets like all scared, and I thought that was really
And
funny.
he's like sobbing at his mother leaving, and she's like, "It's fine.
Yeah,
Blah,
it's
blah, blah."
okay. I'll be back. Um, we go back to Faye, who has goes to a crash ship because before this we kind of see, she kind of sees a ship kind of dismantled, kind of out there, and she
Mm-hmm.
goes to investigate and she sees a dying pilot. He gives her something and tells her not to open it, but take it to the ISSP, which is I'm assuming the space police. Um,
International Space Police, something
Super
like that.
Space Police. I don't remember what the acronym stands for if they said it. but she's like, okay. And so they okay. So here's the next thing. Space Warriors is the name, which we already knew at this point. Let me see. I don't know how to read my handwriting sometimes. Um. Oh, okay. So they take her within the group. So they do like have this whole thing where they kind of explain what they are. So there's like, hey, this is a whole like group of people, but within
Yes.
the group there's some like terrorists, and this terrorist happens to be Maria Murdoch, and actually her name is Twinkle Maria or something
Twinkle.
like that. Yeah, Twinkle Maria is the name of this woman. Um,
Titi Ma.
yes. So Jet contacts his friend, and he is looking at nudie mags.
I was literally about to say nudie mags. I
He
swear to God, I was about to say
Yeah,
nudie mags.
he's looking
There's
at
so
nudie
many
mags.
in the show.
Oh, dude, even the children. Anyways, we'll get there.
Yeah.
So they're looking at nudie mags, and he's like, "Yeah, well, it's canceled. Don't worry about it." And he's like, "Dog, come on now, you owe me or whatever." He's like, "All right, we'll talk about it." And so they do, and it's revealed that, and this stuff happens in between us figuring this out. Actually, we'll canonically go about this. Faye gets we're going back to Faye, and she gets curious, and she opens the box, and she's like, I can't eat this. And it's like, right, okay. And so we see what it
It's
is.
another you thing.
No, absolutely. She's like, I can't eat this, and so she's like, all right, whatever. And so Faye calls the nearest ships, and in a very sexy voice, and it ends up being Spike and Jet, and she's like,
She's like, is anybody here? Are you even listening? And then they're just sitting there like,
I know, and she looks up, she sees the ship, and then
she's like,
she's
oh
just
shit.
like, fucking hell. And so we cut back into the ship, and they do this on purpose, but Faye is handcuffed all sexy like on the pipe there, and
I
that's
know.
literally
Ugh.
what I wrote, and I was just like, I'd like it. I mean, it's kind of gross, but like
I was
also,
gonna say it's like I was like so mad. I was like, wow, they're so objectifying her. Like the whole of what we've watched so far. It's like them biddies
oh,
always
and
out,
it's wonderful.
which is like which is enjoyable. But I'm also worried for her because it's like obviously women are never responsible for like what men do or whatever. But I'm
Right.
like, Bestie, I'm worried about you because like we've literally seen all these men and all these bars like try to assault women like several times in the
Oh, for
show.
sure. Already.
I was like, I'm worried about you, Bestie. Like
Yeah, we'll
worried.
see. We'll see. I
She's
don't
a
know.
strong woman
She
though.
can hold her own though, so we'll see
Oh,
how
she's
that goes.
fantastic.
No, she's great. Agreed. Spikes looks through her stuff and finds the thing that she was looking at. Yeah, so Jet is talking to Bob, and he reveals they made a virus called Monkey Business. And she is holding a city of millions hostage to just be awful. And she wants money, is kind of what it seems like. Um, what did we
Like
do?
in Wicked,
Yeah, you could say that.
where they try to make all those guys the winged monkey guys. Well, I
Yep,
guess also the Wizard of Oz.
yep. I was gonna say there was a movie before the musical with yeah.
Well,
'Cause you're a
yeah, I
musical
guess.
theater kid,
Oh
almost
my
a band
god, I
kid.
don't want people are gonna listen to this and they're gonna know that I know what Wicked is, and that's embarrassing.
I know what Wicked is.
I guess that makes you feel a little better.
Dude, we both work in regional professional theaters. What are you on about right now? Like, we can't hide this fact. Anyways,
I
moving
know,
on.
I know.
Before we mentioned that it's canceled, the guy Bob is like, "Hey, let her go." So they do. She gets in her vehicle and she's like, "All right, we're just gonna kind of fuck with everything now because fuck it." And they have the thing anyway. So she starts blowing shit up. She's like, "I'm gonna start killing people, whatever." And then she shoots a missile of the virus with the virus. The bounty does get reestablished, and they're like, "All right, go get her." And they're like, "All right, cool, we'll go get her." They're like, "But if you don't stop the missile, there's gonna be nobody to give you the money. So stop the missile too." And they were like, I fucking guess. So the music gets all super strong, swag. Sorry, I can't read my own handwriting. The music gets super swag and jazzy. It's literally what I have written down. And so it's really cool. Jet and Spike are in pursuit of said missile. And then Faye is like, I know you'll need help. Help, can I help you? And then, Jet's like, I fucking guess, dude. Like, we need the help. So come on. And so she gets out. Oh, actually, before that, there's some funny little banter going on between Spike and Faye. And she's like, okay, I'll do it for this much, or I'll do it for this much, or trade me this, or blah blah blah. He's like, fine, whatever. They finally come to a consensus, and she leaves. She goes to help, and we see the warhead kind of turn into a bunch of little warheads, and it's like, oh my god, it's just one thing after another.
And then, bah, bah, bah.
Through matter hacks, the warheads phase through everything and will just be forever phasing.
Yeah, am I silly? Because I didn't even know. I was like, okay, so they're just not gonna hit them then? And they're just gonna go forever?
I think that's literally what they said verbatim, like, oh, forever it's just gonna be phasing through matter because of whatever we just did. And I just was like, I think I watched it like twice, like I rewatched it, like that little section, and I still didn't quite understand it. So Andrew, if you're listening to this far, go ahead and put in the comments how that worked.
Please, I'm so lost.
I'm so lost with that. But anyways, it's nice seeing Faye. So moving on. Because of Twinkie. So this was the highlight of this episode. Twinkle Lady accidentally turns the whole crew into monkey. Haha. Oh, I don't know if I said this before, but the virus turns people into monkeys, right?
Oh, and the little canister, that was the virus.
Yes, the canister was a virus. What she didn't notice, and there's a bit of a little flashback to it, is Spike, of course, pickpocketing genius, again, like you said, does come back, puts it in her pocket, and she gets upset or whatever, and it falls out, and it flings out, it hits like the wall or the window or something, and then it just breaks, and then it cuts.
And if her reaction, so camp. She was like, no. It was hilarious.
It was good. She deserved it too. So yeah, that's how that ends, and that's kind of it. Episode 5. This is another really good name. Love this one. Really good name. Ballad of Fallen Angels, dude.
You know what I think it is?
What?
I think it's that all of these episode titles sound like song titles.
Which feels like it's on purpose.
I hope so.
And this
I sure hope so.
I feel like in this one we're a lot more serious, which is a nice little like.
It feels like a straight up drama. This episode feels very dramatic.
Absolutely, it does, and I enjoyed it. I liked it. But we got to see a little more. I guess Spike is always kind of serious, but in this way it felt very like life or death, Anyways, snazzy business relationship is established. I put Red Dragon in parentheses because I'm like, this has to be important, and it ends up being important. So this guy is kind of looking out, and we don't really know who he is just yet. He watches a ship explode, and there's this crow dude just comes in out of nowhere with a crow on his shoulder and just kills everybody, and it's pretty gruesome. I would say this is another one of those, once every episode at least, there's some gruesome murder that's just like, okay, we're just gonna throw that in there. This is one of those situations. As this dude is dying, he says, if only Spike was, here, you wouldn't, blah, blah, blah. He didn't really get to finish what he was saying, I don't think, but he did get McMurdered. And that leads me to think, and I'm assuming the viewer, you too, is like, so then Spike has some influence around here. Let's see how this pans out. So we're looking in, as bounty hunters do, they're looking at the bounties, and they're like, hey, what are we going to do here? Spike and Jet are arguing about telling the truth because Spike gets all weird about seeing that his friend, and I actually don't know if the name of this person was like the relationship between Spike and this person was ever like said. I don't really remember at this point.
It's only presumed in flashbacks.
Okay, that's what it is. Okay.
Yeah.
But Spike gets all weird. He's like, oh, I have to go do this on my own, whatever. Jet's like, what the heck? Tell me what happened. And he's like, okay, well, tell me about your arm. And Jet's like, nah, fam, never mind.
And then he literally yeets.
Yeah, he just leaves. He's
like, I'm leaving. Bye.
Yeah, literally. And we see kind of like we assumed that Faye is gonna be around forever, but she does say like, "Oh, hey, I'm inviting myself to the crew. I'm in the crew. We're in the crew together, right?" And Jet's like, "No, maybe I don't know," because he's
Yeah.
all angry. Um. Anyway, Spike leaves abruptly, which we talked about. Guy comes on screen and has something. Has something. What the hell did I even write here? Oh, has something big for Jet. And so the sexy lady gives goes to show and has a weird car keys, which it's actually Faye who's doing this. We find out that she decides to go out on her own and try to catch this guy or whatever the case is, and they figure it out. And moving on, we see okay, we see some kids in a convenience store, and they're kind of looking for some nudie mags. They're looking at some nudie mags.
I know. What the frick is up? Why the frick do all these kids have the nudie mags?
I know. I'm just like, bro, what is
It's
going
like
on
the
here?
third one in the first 5 episodes.
No, absolutely.
Creators are horny.
Yeah, they are eternally horny. It seems like. They're seeing the nudie mags, so they run away, and they're about to try. They're about to get away. One trips on himself, which okay, fucking nerd, and then the other
Me.
one, literally you. Yes. For anybody who needs to know this, Katie did break her back, by tripping. It wasn't her
I
fault.
walked into a pipe the other day, by the way, just so you know.
Oh God.
Straight
Literally,
in the forehead.
sometimes when Katie and I work together, I'm like, actually, I'm gonna walk backwards. You don't have to do that. Anyways, I think it's funny that I'm saying these things about you, and you're literally an assistant technical director. Like if we were in the same company, you would be above me.
Okay, but also I can't walk backwards. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. I guess that's true. Anyways, moving on. So one of the kids does trip on himself, and then the other just bump right into Spike. And Spike just kind of is like, "Oh, hey, nudie mag." Like he kind of just takes it before the kid can even realize it. And he's just kind of looking at it, and then we find out that Spike knows the owner of said shop, and they thought that he's been dead for 3 years, which is an interesting revelation. We didn't. I guess that kind of is the callback to, "Oh, I've been
when
dead
he's like,
before."
I've died before.
Yeah. And so like we said before, sexy lady Miss Valentine, gets put into a box with a dead person, which is the person that it was Spike's friend. They're
Which
like,
was
oh
so cool, by the way.
yeah,
When
was
she sits down and she's like shaking, and then she looks over her shoulder, and the guy's just freaking. Oh my god, that's a
he's
great
McMurdered.
shot.
Yeah. I think that was Spike's friend, right? That was killed. I can't remember his name. I think his name is. Oh, I just realized. I don't think I even read the synopsis for this one. Yeah, his
They're
name is Mao.
following.
His name is Mao. Yeah. So that was him, though, right? Sitting down there. I might be wrong about that. I should probably
It depends on which friend you're talking about.
Mao, the initial one. Oh, I guess they wouldn't have put his body there. I think it was another one then, right?
I was like,
I'm
we're not talking about Vicious, right?
No, we're talking about Mao,
Because
the other
he's
one.
very much alive.
No, Vicious was the one who put Miss Valentine, Miss Faye, in there.
Yeah.
Anyways, we find out his name is Vicious, which is a very interesting name. I feel like all the names in here are very like one line. Like it's like Vicious,
I know.
Spike, Jet. It's Giraffe and like something else later on. I think it's even in the
And
next
Rhino
episode.
or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, his like name introduction was very much giving I am vengeance.
Oh, for sure. For sure. We go back to Spike, who is being told like, "Hey, Faye question mark, and also this is who did it, because the lady at the store is like, oh, don't get in cahoots with Vicious again, whatever." And he's like, "I'm gonna do it." And so Spike gets a bunch of grenades and like guns and has the cool like holster underneath his armpit, like really cool cop detectives have. So it's really awesome.
Okay, I'm gonna say it by the way. This brings me to my biggest problem with this show.
Go ahead.
These people are bounty hunters. They're in gangs. They are violent criminals. They literally show up to places with these massive weapons and like ready to do combat. And these fucking idiots do not wear bulletproof vests. I will never understand that. I will never understand showing up to a bloody, violent battle without a bulletproof vest.
That is
This people, it's so fucking dumb.
this is actually a very good point because you would think with them being like in the future that they would do that.
Well, it's like we have Tom and Jerry in this universe, so we definitely have bulletproof vests.
Oh my gosh, I
Like,
think that was so funny. It's in
oh
one of
my,
these last few episodes that we're gonna talk about.
yeah,
But yes. Um, the good points are
kills
being
me,
made here.
kills me, Louis.
Anyways, so Spike arms up. Obviously, she was caught. Miss Valentine was. Um, and I said duh and it circled it because Jet was like, "Don't do it," and she's like, "I'm gonna do it," and then she did it, and she's like, "Oh my god, I need help," and that's what happened.
It's like
Spike
the
has
TikTok sound.
literally. And Spike was like, "Hey, where you at? Where you at?" And then she was like, "Oh my god, you gonna come save me?" And he's like, "No, I just need to beat up the guy who took you, but not because he took you." Like that was basically like how that went. And I thought that was funny. Anyways, Spike goes to face Vicious, and gunfight starts. This is one of those situations where it's like, oh, exciting music, gunfight, blah blah blah. And I feel like we haven't had super all out shoots like this in
Yeah.
this show up until this point. Like we do have like them shooting guns, obviously, but this is like one of those like in a chapel, jumping behind pews, like evading all kinds
It's
of bullets.
gorgeous.
No, it's an awesome scene for sure. And again, in this episode, we have two of this episode actually, where somebody just gets fucking murdered. Spike literally blows off some dude's head. Just like, bro. Like it just it's very tastefully done. Like it doesn't feel like it's gory for the sake of being gory. Like it feels like, oh okay, like I have to kill this guy now because he's trying to kill me and I need to survive. Like that's how this
The
feels.
kills are aggressive though.
For sure.
Definitely more aggressive than I thought. Like going into the first episode, I was like, oh, it's like a westerny, but then I was like, no, that's much more violent than I thought it was gonna be.
It's definitely like gangster and western is something that I'm kind of putting together at this point.
Which I love.
No, it's great, especially with Spike's clothing. Like it's very reminiscent of a mafia, right?
Yeah.
I think it's very cool. Anyways, so
Tombstone meets Star Wars.
literally, absolutely. Okay, so now Spike and Vicious are fighting each other. They have these really cool exchanges as far as like choreography is concerned, and the choreography is great. I think choreography hasn't been this good since the first episode, and that doesn't mean that the episodes in between were bad quality. I would say it's just more just like we haven't had a lot of hand-to-hand combat that would lend to this up until this point again.
It's
And
been
plus,
very
this is
quick exchanges.
no,
Yeah.
absolutely, and this is a gun versus a sword, and it's like he's literally deflecting the sword with the gun. I think at one point you kind of see like sparks come off the gun, and I think that was so cool. It was really really awesome.
I also just love the aesthetic of the fight.
Oh no,
it's raining. It's dark.
dramatic
It's
and theatrical in every
It's very
sense.
moody. Yes.
Yes, moody is a perfect way to describe that. Anyway, so we learned that Spike and Vicious are in fact related, presumably brothers. I don't know for sure though. I don't think they say it.
Oh,
But
I
they
thought
are
they were
related.
just buddies.
Oh well, they literally said we have the same blood in our veins.
Oh shit.
Maybe I'm wrong about
I just thought they were besties. Like they
What?
were old besties.
I put related question mark because they did say something about having similar, like the same blood for sure. But
huh.
I assume they're brothers, and I mean I might be wrong, but regardless,
Then,
it's
yeah,
still
maybe
it's
they're
still
brothers.
it still hits hard because they're obviously have a past.
Yeah.
So
It's
Spike
giving
loses,
Annie versus Obi-Wan.
literally. So this is the first time Spike like loses a fight, I would say, because Spike loses every episode, but at the sake of doing the right thing, right, or like of winning the fight, but he like loses in that he gets thrown out of a window. And he's having a lot of flashbacks to presumably what was happening before he kind of left to be a bounty hunter 3 years ago.
Yes.
And we see kind of the callbacks to the first episode, the rose falling, the whole all shootout happening. He has
Sure.
this thing, this really cute moment where he got saved by someone, and he
The
hears her
blonde woman,
humming.
right?
Yes, the blonde woman, and he hears her humming, and that's what wakes him up. And it's very nice because he's like, oh, like, that sounded great, or whatever, like he really liked it. Flash slap back to reality. Oh, there goes
Oh,
gravity.
there goes gravity.
He
Ah!
literally didn't have gravity because he fell. He plummeted.
And it's in space.
Yep. And Faye saves him, and Faye's like humming, and he wakes up, and he's like, "Oh, you're off key," and she like straight up hits him, and it was just a really nice way to bring us back to being like, "Hey, remember we do make a lot of jokes in this. Like this isn't just like
Yeah.
a dramatic anime. Like we're still."
Well, you're underselling the joke because he whispers like groggily like he needs something like for mental
Yes, he
attention.
does. He absolutely does do
It's
that.
hilarious. You gotta watch it. It's
Yes, you have to watch it.
yeah, gotta watch
You
it.
gotta watch it. No, no, no. So like, yeah, so like, hey, that's really right. Like that is something that happens, and so it was really good. It was really good. We're getting towards the end of our thing here. But episode 6, sympathy. Sympathy. Why did I say sympathy?
Simping
Oh,
for the devil.
simping for the devil. No, no.
I'll say it.
Say
My
it.
least favorite episode.
We'll go through this in quickly because I feel similarly. Sympathy for the devil. Um, episode 6, and Spike has weird dreams about himself. I'm assuming that like this is again. It seems like something like they're doing experiments on him. I'm not really sure. Anyways, he's having really weird dreams. He comes to. They're in like this show. They're at this show, and there's a kid playing a sick ass harmonica, which is really cool. And I was like
Giving Billy Joel.
literally immediately I was like, this is gonna be a good episode. I was wrong. Not that it wasn't good. It was just in comparison to literally the last episode that we saw. It was just like it would have
It's
been
much
hard
weaker.
It's much weaker. It would have been hard to beat. So Jet and Spike are at the blues concert. To get a dude with a 3 million bounty on him. Uh, 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 yes. Okay. So they find the guy, and they chase him out. Spike chases him, needs a distraction. Jet sees an old friend. I think his name is literally Fatty. I didn't write it down, but I think that's his name. And so like they start talking it up because they need a little bit of a distraction. Spike runs out. He watches the guy Giraffe get literally McYeeted from the top of a building and is falling. And at this point, Spike is in his ship. He catches him with his ship, which like I don't imagine that did anything but keep him alive longer and suffering rather than
Yeah.
like letting the poor dude hit the cement where he would die instantaneously. Spike tries to save him and instead prolongs his death, and he's over here like coughing and like dying and is like, hey, help the dude out, help the kid out, is what we think he's trying to say.
Which is a very classic trope. The
Mm-hmm.
the you've got to take care of my XYZ.
Yeah. Dying, and Spike has this like he's honorable if nothing else, and he's like, I have to do this, I guess, because I said I would. And he feels like it's his duty. And in this batch, he does give a Spike a ring, and we're like, oh, what is this? Obviously, it's gonna have some sort of significance, and I like the way they use it, and we'll talk about it here soon. Spike feels like it is his duty to help this kid because of Giraffe. Warns him the dude in the wheelchair, who we think he's talking about the wheelchair, is more dangerous than he seems.
Wah wah wah.
Minecraft villager sound right there for you.
Ah.
We figure out through some stuff that Faye and Jet are doing, they kind of see that the kid does not age. They find him in a magazine 30 years ago, or newspaper 30 years ago, and they see the same guy.
What?
Yeah,
What does that mean?
Yeah, a little bit of I would say Benjamin Button, but the kid just doesn't
But
age,
it's like, yeah.
which we find out. So yeah, so that happens, and they're like, hey, what? And so we get a flashback to when the kid was on Earth. His parents, super cute, wholesome, gives him a harmonica. Is like, oh yeah, you're gonna do great. Immediately mastered it. Not sure how that worked. But literally moments later, the moon it destroys the Earth and kills a lot of people. I assume, but not the
Yeah.
kid. Not the kid. It
What?
almost seems like I'm trying to. I guess you won't get this reference, but it was almost like like Harry Potter. Have you seen Harry Potter, right? It was like
Yeah,
almost
I've
like
definitely seen Harry Potter.
I feel like you haven't, dude, because
I
of
feel
that
like
answer.
what? No, as soon as I said it, I was like, that sounds fake. No, I've seen and read
Okay,
Harry
well you
Potter.
know like how his mom saves him by loving him so much.
Yeah, she sacrifices herself.
Yeah, that's how this felt. Like it felt like his parents were like, "Oh, we love you so much, so we're gonna die, so you don't have to." So they jump on top of him. He's alive, and something's different about
Giving
him.
Bruce Wayne.
Giving huge Bruce Wayne, yeah. It caused him to not age. Kid used an adult as a cover, which is super interesting and in a way like very barbaric because he's like, I don't care what happens to them, I just need my cover to not be blown. Which big question mark because like what? Like it doesn't
Yeah.
seem like there's really I might be wrong about this, maybe I missed something, but it doesn't seem like there's a huge reason as to why he needs cover. It's like, oh, I just want to keep my secret safe in that I don't age and I'm immortal and I can do whatever I want, which I guess that there is that to consider.
Well, because they
um
see a small child and they're like, "Where's your parents?"
I guess that's also some, I guess
So
that's
I feel
true.
like he just needed somebody to be like, "Oh, that's my dad,"
That's my dad, yeah.
as opposed to
um
like, "Don't take me, CPS. I'm fine."
yeah, I guess so. I guess that's true. He does say that he's on his third parent, which what the fuck? That is a little that part was the barbaric part to me. He was like he's on his third parent. Anyways, um
Yeah, makes me
so
wonder, did he kill them or something?
I literally that's how it kind of felt, you know. Like maybe
Yeah.
they just didn't do what he wanted, anyways, or maybe exclusively because the newspaper clipping from 30 years ago showed another guy on a wheelchair. Maybe it exclusively gets wheelchair men to do stuff for him. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or handicapped people. It can use and so they do find him, just Spike does, and he's like, hey buckaroo, like let's I need you to not be how you are right now. And so he's like, no, fuck you bitch, and shoots him. And Spike again gets shot despite being literally mauled last episode. He's up and standing, he's good. um and Spike is dodging bullets again, and the kid this I laughed out loud, almost choked on my tortellini. It straight up threw the handicapped dude at Spike. He straight up yeeted him down the stairs.
Kind of a power move.
It was a power move. It really was, but it was just I just didn't expect him to do that. I don't know. I was just like, you have a gun, you know. Obviously it wasn't working though because Spike was, I guess, dodging them, but he did throw the guy at Spike. um Anyways, so Spike shoots the kid in the head, which again I was just like, oh, kid's dead. Like I guess that's the end of the episode. Plot
Yeah, it
twist,
was a great moment.
there were still like 7 minutes left in the episode. um but yeah, so it was like he did that, and Spike looks down to where the kid would have fallen, and he is not dead. um he's not there. And so Spike's like, uh-oh. Uh, so then they take the guy back. They're for some reason able to look through his memories, and they do see that the kid was in fact the one who shot Giraffe. And he was
Which was cool.
yeah, which was cool.
Also,
And
the machine where they can literally just look at his brain and see his
yeah,
memories.
that
It's
that
like,
was one of
dope.
that was one of those things that was like, oh shit, this is a really cool thing that they do in this show. This
I
is
want that to
another,
come back, honestly. I know we're going to talk about predictions and hopes in a little bit, but I
yeah.
want that to come back. That would be
No,
very exciting.
yeah, absolutely. And also to know it's that easy is kind of dangerous too. You know what I mean? It's
Well,
kind of
I also feel
dangerous.
like they're just not. I feel like they should get out of the bounty hunting business and they should start renting that machine out to other people.
That's. I mean, you're also under the assumption that you can't just do that normally, like in this world. You know.
That's fair. I don't know how common of a resource that is.
Anyways,
But like,
um,
also, why did they own that?
Who knows? Who knows? It did seem a little too. There's oh my god. There's a few things that are like. There's a few things that are a little too convenient, and especially we'll talk about it soon. But there's a transaction that happens, and it's just like, oh yeah, let's slot our credit cards in here, and boom, done. Like it's like, all right, it was a little too convenient. But anyways, they do find that out, and they're like, all right, that's the truth. Um,
Also, nobody pays for anything in here. I've seen
yeah,
these people get drinks hundreds of times. Never once have I seen money.
yeah. I think we see an exchange here the next episode, maybe the last one. Um,
Hmm.
but anyways, so I find like they figure out that this ring is gonna be what makes the kid be young again, or not have the years get caught up to him, is what the guy says in the memory. And so they're like, all right, well, let's make this into a bullet because apparently you can just kind of do that. And so they get the ring with the asteroid rock or whatever the fuck it is, and they put it into the bullet, which is gangster as hell, by the way. Like it kind of reminds me of like a kryptonite bullet or something like that, you know?
Him
It's
loading it up looked badass too.
no, this was a really great moment. I think this was the best part of the episode. What happens here? Um, but they all kind of send Spike off like he's about to die.
And
Which
she's like, "You're not coming back."
yeah, literally. Um, and so he's like, okay, bye. And he like just kind of leaves. And the kid just straight up murders a taxi driver because why not? I guess. Steals a taxi, is driving, and Spike rolls up with his, his ship and fires, and nothing happens to the kid. But he does drive straight into gasoline and explodes, but he's fine, and so is his clothes, right? Um,
But I have a bad feeling he's about to get blown up or something.
yeah, literally. And so he walks out, and I have right here, um, kid, Spike finds him, and egotistic kid takes the bullet to the head. And he like straight up just rolls out with his shot. I guess I don't think it was a shotgun. It was like just a gun, and he shoots him. And the kid's like, "Don't worry, I'm not gonna die. So why do I care about this? Like he should already know." But I think the interesting thing here is that you would think the kid is so old, he'd have the wisdom to be like, "Hey, for some reason, this guy already knows that I'm not gonna die from a bullet wound, so he's shooting me point blank. He should know this is ineffective. Maybe there's something fishy going on here." And
I
nope,
don't know.
nope. He just
Just
dies.
just dies. I'm like,
Literally.
after all that, you're just gonna die.
Yeah. Yeah, he just takes it. But I think also to an extent, and this is something, it was very Demon Slayer of it, which obviously this was out way before Demon Slayer. But he had kind of a beautiful death to be like, hey, I did want to die, actually. Because I've been alive for too long. Like, I'm done. Like, I don't
Yeah.
want this anymore.
Well, it
And
was
so,
kind of delightful.
yeah, yeah. To
He
see
was
him get.
happy. It felt like a good deed by Spike.
It did. It really did. And Spike was like, I don't give a fuck. Bye. Uh, anyways, just like Spike does. But I think all in all, Spike did help the kid. Because I think for a little bit there, we're like, does Giraffe mean help the handicapped guy? But then no, you do see he does indeed help the kid die, basically,
Yeah.
is what happens.
Which
Because the
is
years
really a
catch up
good
to him.
redemption.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Episode
Not like
7.
he needed to be redeemed yet, but
True.
episode 7.
And this was a very fun one.
Yeah, I love this. I love
Okay.
this episode.
We'll do the synopsis for real again. Um, Heavy Metal Queen, we're almost there. Spike, Faye, and Jet are all after Decker, a bounty head in possession of high explosives. They meet VT, a female space trucker, and
What?
team up with her to catch Decker
Female?
on a dangerous chase, yes, through an abandoned mine. Okay. Let's talk about this whole female thing.
Okay, so literally until I was looking at the episode description, I literally thought it was a man the whole time. I thought
they were
BT
gay.
was a man.
I thought they were gay.
Yes, I thought it was a gay man, and that it was like super progressive for 1998, and they were calling him a heavy metal queen, and
Literally.
and that he had a husband, and I was so excited about it. I literally, until the synopsis, literally just thought it was like a nice, like, queer middle-aged man.
Yep. That's
I was
literally what I thought.
shocked.
I was absolutely shocked as well. I was perplexed. And I think like that was also a not like I feel like they did that on purpose though. You know?
Yeah.
It almost felt like a bit of a
I
queer bait.
guess.
Maybe it was because they couldn't do something like that at that time and it'd be okay. I don't know.
Maybe she's trans.
It could be that too. That wasn't explicitly stated, but hey.
I mean,
Headcanon.
for 1998, I doubt it, but
Yeah, for sure. Anyways, Heavy Metal Queen opens up with a sick ass song, bro, which is very good for the episode. VT
yeah.
has a bet. We see VT with people about what their name is. So what's the name? And there's always money on the line here, and everybody's been getting it wrong. No one's gotten it right. Spike is in a restroom with a hangover, super sicky wicky.
And he drinks a fucking egg.
We'll get there, but yes, it was just super
Oh.
weird. It was a super weird drink. Anyways, looking for a guy with a dragon tattoo. Interesting. And so Faye, of course, attacks the wrong dude. He has a stupid tattoo. That's what I have in my notes. So Faye goes into this booth, sees a guy with like what seems to be like a scaly tattoo on his chest, but sort of hiding under shirt. Puts literally a fucking gun to his head, and is like, "Hey, you're coming with me, Decker." And you see the kind of nerdy dude in the booth over, like, "Oh my god," you know,
Yeah.
kind of freaking out there. And he's just like, "Oh yeah, well, okay." She's like, "Oh, call the cops." He's like, "All right, I'll go do it," and ends up running away instead. Uh, she opens up the guy's a shirt, and it ends up being like this really dumb tattoo of like a heart and something else. Vaguely does not look like a dragon at all. Anyways, Decker's nerdy as heck. We go back to Spike, and he still has a hangover. But they do drop what the hell did I write here? What the hell? Hungover, but they drop. Okay. I can't read my handwriting half the time. Spike is still hungover. He's there sitting at the bar now, instead of the restroom, and he has his egg, and he's like doing this thing with it where he's like sloshing it in the eggshells, and there's a fight going
Freaking
on because
nasty.
literally because VT sees that women are being harassed by some of these bounty hunters. Which I was like, nice. This guy is totally like you were saying, like
He's a feminist.
he's a feminist. This is so progressive, and I was with you, Katie. I was very much like, okay, this is really cool, actually. Plot twist, not the case, but
Hey, we still like seeing women as feminists.
Oh no, for sure. But Decker, VT was like, oh yeah, not cool. I'm gonna fight you now, and so in the fight, one of the bad guys does knock Spike's egg off the table, and Spike is upset. And so you know what that means. Spike kicks all three of their asses, and yeah, which is a very anime reason to get into a fight over food.
But he kicks them very well.
Yeah, with style, I would say. Decker does get away though. Faye was in pursuit, but Decker, being a master of explosives, which we later learn, has this weird like pencil looking thing and explodes her vehicle, basically. Her ship. And he gets away. Finally we see Jet nagging Ian, which is the name of the corgi, which we knew, I just hadn't said it yet. And so he's like, hey, yeah, we need help because our stuff is destroyed because the bad guys also destroyed Spike's ship. Yay! And here I have written down, VT is a gay.
Yeah, literally. This whole episode,
Yeah.
they like catfished us.
It was bad. I was like, he's gay. That's cool. And I have it in all caps too. Anyways, finds out Spike.
I forgot to say the bar that Faye was at. It was Weenie Hut Jr.
Was it?
Oh, it looked just like Weenie Hut Jr.
Oh my god. Was that a bar? I thought it was like a eatery. Like a maybe it was. I don't know. I don't remember.
Well, I don't know, because they had a costume character walk through.
Oh, right. They did.
I was like, what the fuck?
Where are we? We're in SpongeBob.
I
We see
know it
Patrick.
was super weird,
SpongeBob
but
flipping burgers back there.
this episode does introduce my favorite character, Zeros,
Yes, it
the cat.
does. Talk
My
about.
favorite
Do
character.
you want to talk about the cat? Here, let me finish this, and then we'll talk about the cat. Um,
Okay.
finds out Spike is a bounty hunter and decided to not buy him a drink anymore. They mess up Spike's vehicle, which we talked about, and then I have VT as a girl question mark because for some reason in my head I was like, they're probably a girl. But anyways, VT does give Spike a ride to where he needs to go. Well, actually, Spike and Faye. And so they're getting kind of scolded by Jet, anyways, because they keep breaking shit. And then we find out that VT is a trucker. At this point, because I feel like it wasn't explicitly stated, maybe it was nodded at before, but I don't think it was explicitly stated. And so,
Oh, and we get to meet the characters Sneaky Snake and Spider Mike.
yes, and all these other weird ass names that I did not write down. Um, so Spike was like, or no, VT. Someone told VT that Decker. They didn't say Decker explicitly. They like talked. I think they said like his race or something. Hit them with their vehicle, like ran into them on the road. And VT was like, who is that? I know exactly who that is. And they're like, hey, she was like, hey, can you guys keep an eye out for this person? And they're like, yeah. And then someone else was like, hey, I saw this person 10 minutes ago. And then, guess what? VT tells Spike and company, and there's a space chase.
Also,
Space chase.
Space Chase! Space Chase!
Space chase. Okay,
Space.
also.
Oh, one of the cargo ships has it says it's marked for Chicago, which means Chicago is canon.
That's true.
That's the weirdest part about this episode to me.
I was actually. We'll talk more about this towards the end, but anyways, VT. I guess we are towards the end. Anyways, VT calls friends to come and help. And by friends I mean Spike. And then they get there. After they get there, Decker. They have the chase with Decker. Whatever. Dude dies because crash. But then they find out the asteroid is a mine and Decker is a master of explosives. And guess what he was hauling? Explosives!
What?
Yeah. So, mine begins to randomly explode. They're like, oh, we can't get out. Only option is to use the explosive to destroy the barrier. And so they do that. Faye gets an explosive, like a G, is what I written down. He gets out of his ship and gets and blasts his ship over into the explosive. Not the ship, I guess it was like the escape pod, right? It's pod. Mm-hmm. So they throw the explosive all the way down there. He gets out like a G2, puts earplugs in, holds his breath, gets out into space, launches that bad boy down there, explodes the whole thing just to get them out. They find out, do this whole like scene, they're trying to get into VT's vehicle, they get in there, whatever. Spike has VT's like necklace or like little stopwatch with the picture on it, and it says Victoria on it. And so Spike figures out her name, and that's kind of where that ends. I liked that episode.
I really enjoyed that one too.
I really did like it. I digress. Moving forward, the last one that we're gonna talk about.
Venus.
This was a good name too.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't the best one, but it was still a good name. Episode 8, Waltz for Venus. Which is as follows. After collecting on a 1.5 million Wulong bounty, Spike gains a fan in Rocco Bonnaroo, which, Bonnaroo. Rocco, a small-time gang member, stole a rare and valuable plant from his own gang. Spike finds it more valuable than he is, but Rocco has a different plan for the plant, which is fun and interesting. Something of note here is that I feel like this is one of the more boring episodes too, in my opinion, out of the batch that we watched.
I agree. Because I feel like I just don't know what needs to happen for the plot to move forward yet, because I don't know what's the big bad or what the main conflict is. So I literally don't know if this is advancing the plot at all.
No, I don't know. I feel like we should have ended on episode 7.
No, but I liked seeing Spike do something good.
No, Spike. Yeah, we'll get there. Anyways, flight to Venus, um, and it's like a commercial flight for some reason. And
Which
we
was
see,
funny.
which was very fun to see that this world has very, I guess, normal things in it, right?
Yeah,
Um,
to different planets.
yeah.
But
There's
Elon wants.
right, exactly. Tom and Jerry, knockoff on the screen. I thought that was funny.
It
Um,
was definitely Tom and Jerry.
definitely. No, it wasn't. It was a knockoff, wasn't it? It didn't look.
I
It didn't look
don't
normal.
know.
Anyways, moving
I
forward.
couldn't tell if it was because it was far away or if because it was enough off.
I don't know. I thought it was a knockoff. Anyways, if you in the comments, just among all the other things you need to correct me about, go ahead and put that in there too. Flame. There we go. Okay.
Oh, you're right. It was definitely a knockoff. I'm looking at
There
this
you go.
picture.
There you go. Um, hijacker stick up. So like hijackers are on the plane. Um, and it's just like Spike is on the plane too for some reason, which is revealed. Spike's on the plane despite having his own ship. Not really sure why he's there, but he is. Spike is asleep and has a face mask to sleep, and he is totally oblivious as to what is going on. And he's so sleepy that he accidentally kicks all their asses with face stepping at the last second and putting some like sleepy dust on somebody so they can fall asleep before they shoot him. Mimi time dust, and they stop
Melly
the
does.
hijacking. I'm assuming to capture these guys. They knew that they were going to be there, presumably.
Yeah.
Turn them in, and they're like at the airport, I think, and they just kind of stick their cards in this like terminal, and it's like, hey, we cash out, and there you go. Here's $1.5 million, and they're like, okay, cool. Now let's split this. And this is what we were talking about earlier, how like this world has some very convenient gadgets. Spike is like, all right, fine, we'll split it, and he straight up pulls out this like rectangle, and they stick their cards in there, and it like lights up, and then it's like, all right, we split it. What?
Yeah. And in 2022, we still can't get to split the bill at restaurants.
Mm-mm.
Like,
No, absolutely not. Without getting like a look, you know?
the waiter's like, oh,
Ugh. Have you seen that meme where it's like there's a Starbucks worker? I thought this was funny, and this is in no way like in being mean to Starbucks workers, but it's this particular TikToker that was like me at 6 a.m. making an adult their milkshake, or me at work making an adult their milkshake at 6 a.m. And then it was stitched together with another guy that was like Starbucks workers when they actually have to do their job, and it's just like a series of him going like super
I love that sound.
surprised, like telenovela faces. I just thought it was really funny. Anyways, I just thought about that because we were talking. Anyways, this is not important. Also, I like Starbucks, so don't sue me for that.
Oh, same. You're gonna get
anyways.
canceled for not supporting Starbucks workers.
I support them. I just memes are funny. Anyways,
Yeah.
a guy tries to pester Spike about teaching him some moves, some techniques. And Spike is like, "Nah, fam." I thought this was funny when Spike walks outside. Venus has a lot of helium apparently, so Spike just kind of talks really high, and he's like, "Here's this pill," and he's like, "Ah, you took it wrong," and he was like, "Bruh, nah, I still sound high, and I feel bad," you know.
Oh, and on the plane, they have a little warning that the planet's like atmosphere might affect you medically.
Oh, interesting. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, because they're like, when you get off the plane, the atmosphere, you might have like an allergy or something like that.
For sure, Z's. Anyways, so Spike finally decides to help him out. Rocco has a bounty on his head, which we figure out later. And this is all moving kind of quickly. We see Spike starts looking for Rocco, tracks Rocco down, finds a hidden place while he was looking for him. I might have written this like really weird, but anyways, Spike finds Rocco's place. Yep, Rocco was being chased, and accidentally gets found, which was
Also,
so dumb.
Rocco, it's the meeting in the bathroom.
It was so dumb.
Same thing that happens in Asteroid Blues.
Literally, this guy is so dumb. He's being chased around. Is like, all right, Now I'm gonna go pee. What?
Also, he has a great outfit though,
He
so
does.
I'll
He
say
does.
that.
Yeah, that's a good costuming there. Anyways, so he's like, I'm gonna go pee right quick, and lo and behold, the chasers are also there going pee and meeting. So there's
Mhm.
that. And they're like, hey, let's I'm gonna kick your ass. Where's the plant? We go back to Spike and Rocco and his sister, whose name we figure out later, Stella. Wants to
Hello.
help him with this plant because this plant has it has features that could help heal people, and her eyes are she's blind. She is blind. Um,
She's a
uh,
blind
yeah, yeah, and she's talking about how great Rocco is, and she's like, I can hear it in you too, Spike. You're great. You're very awesome. He's like, oh, maybe at one point I was. Um, and she gives him this music box that, or shows it to him, and these seeds fall out, which you can only assume are for the plant. Um,
woman.
and so Spike goes home, and he's talking to Jet, and he's like, "Hey, if one might find these seeds, how much would they be worth? Not because I found them or anything." He's like, about 8 mil a seed if you can sell them. So apparently, it's kind of hard to sell them, but if you can, they're worth a lot. Not really sure what that means, but that's a thing that is happening. Um,
Maybe it's like a house. Like houses can be worth a lot, but if nobody is on the market for that specific house,
yeah, yeah, I could see that happening.
for lack of a better comparison.
No, no, I mean it makes sense. Or like if you find the right buyer, like a Pokemon card could be worth more or something.
Sure, sure, sure.
Yeah. Except this will save lives and probably cure cancer. Anyways, Rocco leads bad guys to Spike because Spike does decide to go back because at one point Rocco, I don't think I said this, but Rocco did give him the plant and was like, "Hey, let's meet at this time, please. Don't ask me questions." Okay, bye. And so now Spike is there to meet. Takes him Spike to the takes the bad guys to Spike with the plant. Um, and Faye at this point, um, I think I did mention here that Rocco does have a bounty, and his whole gang does. And so Faye goes looking for one of the other gang members and finds two men in bed together, which I was kind of confused because I was like, wait, are we trying to be progressive, or are we trying to be
Again,
like this is bad? You know what I mean?
again,
Like,
the show confuses me.
yeah. So I wasn't exactly sure what the intention was there, but she did not find him. Um, gunfire breaks out, um, for Rocco and Spike. Cute moment where Rocco does manage to use one of the techniques that Spike taught him, and then he gets fucking shot.
Again, these people and their lack of bulletproof vests.
He gets fucking shot, dude. They're like, oh yeah, great job, dude. You did a, dude's dead. Like, I think there was just like it was just so abrupt, and I don't know that it's a good or bad thing, but
I was just mostly sad because like we have this great character development of him through his sister.
for sure, Z's. No, that was definitely something that
So it was devastating.
we were missing. Yeah, 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 yeah. Not missing, it was devastating, you're right. But anyways, he fucking dies, LOL. I have this on my notebook here. Um but he entrusted Spike with Stella. Once again, Spike is watching someone die and they're like, "Hey, take care of this person for me." Spike is like, "I guess." Um so Spike does do that. She gets the she doesn't get the surgery for her eyes. And so she's like, "Oh great, Rocco's gonna do this for me." Now, what kind of confuses me is that she ends up being at the hospital, right? But like doesn't find out about Rocco until Spike breaks the news to her.
I don't know. And she says that he's like agreed to pay for the surgery. So how did that work?
I'm assuming it's because he's selling the seeds? Question mark.
Oh my god, that'd be so cute.
Anyways, so that's what happens. Um
And then he has to break the news to her that her brother is
yeah, she was
dead
like,
and
"Oh, where is he?" And he's like, and she's like, "Did he get caught?" and he
Like,
was
oh,
like,
why can't he visit me?
yeah. And then
She
she
like needs
goes,
space,
yeah,
and he
yeah,
leaves a bouquet of flowers.
which is very cute. Which is very cute.
Yeah,
She was
it's really
very like
sweet.
sad. It was very sad.
It was very
Um.
sad.
Okay, that's it for this chunk. How do you feel?
Predictions. I
Predictions. You
feel
go.
so far, honestly, I'm super excited about how this is going. But if I didn't know that this is one of like this is regarded as like one of the best anime series of all time, right?
For sure.
And
Yeah.
if I didn't know that, at this point I would be wondering what's our end game here? Like as a long form story, what are we building towards? Because I honestly don't know what we're building towards yet. So I'd say that's my biggest thing, which I know is what your thing is too. So it's like I just want to establish also like I've seen on the posters, I know there's like another main character which I
Yes.
think we meet in the next few episodes.
I would
Um
presume yes.
yeah, so like I'm ready for that. What I want to see, I want to see more of the cat Zero, VT's cat. Oh, sorry, my screen died. It's a really freaking cute cat. I want to see more of that. I really enjoy how like each episode establishes all these secondary characters, but the only real like through line are the main characters. I'd love to see some of the characters from before come back or to start seeing some like other recurring characters. I think that would be exciting to me. Um what I think is going to happen, my big prediction, I have it written down over here. Well, I mean, I feel like there's going to be my overall predictions for the series is that it's going to be great, but I think somebody's going to say, "See you, Space Cowboy," before somebody dies. And it's going to be really dramatic and really sad. That's my only prediction for the series. Um, it's
See,
my only prediction for the series. But I'm excited to see where things go. Faye, like, originally was like she was getting a little obnoxious, you know what I mean?
for sure.
So so
Yeah.
I'm like ready to see her grow and shift into a more mature character and to see these relationships flesh out a little bit more. And I really want to know like how Jet and Spike got to know each other. That's like I want to know about that. So,
I agree with you. One of the things that does is of interest to me is the idea that like the why are we here, right?
yeah.
Like that, like what you were saying, like why are we here? What's the end game here? I love the fact that it is episodic, but you can tell that's not the full story, right? Like there's still more that we're gonna
Sure.
go out with. As far as Faye is concerned, she's sexy, right? And I would
Yeah.
like her to kind of be more than that. Um,
Yeah.
but I think Gloria and I had a huge conversation about this at one point. But I was asking a lot of questions about like female in media because I think it's quite interesting how they're depicted. This was
Yeah.
made in the late '90s, so like I don't expect anything too progressive and groundbreaking from this. But I would like to see her do some cool stuff rather than getting saved all the time. Although she does save Spike, don't get me wrong. But yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
ditto to everything you just said.
I
As
just want to see more of an emotional arc for her, you know what I mean?
for
Cuz
sure.
like
Yeah.
even like even in Marvel still we see like sexy woman, but sexy woman good at fighting, but I'm like, but no, also give me more than that, you know? Like I want to see her character grow and mature, you know? That would be very exciting to me. Or at
Hmm.
least to see some of these very hardened, very sarcastic, emotionally protected characters let their guard down a little bit.
Yeah,
So,
for sure. For sure.
yeah.
Um well, this has been fun.
Yeah.
This has gone to 2 hours, so I might have to split this up into two episodes.
Sheesh.
But I think that we're at a good start. I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying this watch too. If you guys who are listening have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to drop them in the comments. Also, this is gonna go up on like Apple Podcasts and Stitcher and I forgot the other one. But you leave us a review. That'd be super helpful. If you don't want to do that, then you probably hate us.
Yeah,
I'm
you
just
will
kidding.
hate us. We'll never
No,
make another episode.
never again. But yeah, I'm very excited to see where this goes. As far as my predictions, I'm kind of predicting that there is going to be a major death, and I wonder if it'll be Spike rather than one of his comrades.
Yeah.
Just
I feel like it won't be Faye.
I feel like Faye has to be the one who says, "See you, space cowboy." I feel like that would make the most
Yeah.
sense, but also it might be Jet. If it was Jet, that'd be super interesting.
Yeah.
Anyways, we'll see y'all next time.
Bye.